Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our Facebook Live Q&A on what is a nanodegree. My name is Carisha Gamble, and I am the Director of Marketing and Outreach for the Workforce Development Board of Central Ohio. I am happy to have with me today Scott Johnson, who is our operator of the Ohio Means Jobs Columbus Franklin County Job Center, and Paul Barani, who is Head of Business Development for Udacity. So thank you, fellas, for joining me today. And today we want to share with you about our partnership with Udacity and a new program that is being offered to residents of Franklin County and how it can help you advance your career. So we want to encourage everyone to please make sure you put in the chat your questions, and we will be answering those live today. So without further ado, let's get started, shall we? So Paul and Scott, let's answer this first question. What is a nanodegree?
It's a good question. Good place to start. Maybe not a term people are familiar with. So the best way to explain this really is to step back and I want to give you a little bit of context on Udacity and how we were founded. I wish I could say we started in a garage like another, Silicon Valley company, but actually we started in a classroom. And our founder, Sebastian Thrun, was teaching an intro course in artificial intelligence at Stanford. And he wanted to experiment by offering the course for free online to anyone who wanted to take it. And he graded everyone, the students at Stanford and the online cohort, everyone on the same curve. It turned out that the top 400 grades actually came from students in the online cohort. So that was a huge insight. And it was really part of the founding vision of Udacity. Let's take education out of the ivory towers and bring it to the public. But there's really another part, which is what do you do with that education, right? So you fast forward to today, you look at what's happening in the world. Technology's brought major change to every single industry, and COVID-19 has only accelerated that process. There's a lot of studies out there. McKinsey did one where they found that hundreds of millions of people around the world are going to have to change jobs to keep pace with this change. It's automation, it's artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, that change can sound really scary, but if you look on the bright side, when you ask employers how they're responding to that change, what you hear is they're investing tons of money, which means tons of jobs, and that really talent shortage is usually the number one bottleneck in their plan. So for the learner, it's obvious, right? If you're interested in technology and you hustle to really acquire some marketable skills, you're actually going to find a lot of opportunity waiting for you in these, what we think of as jobs of the future. And so that's our mission. It's pretty simple. We're just training the world's workforce in the skills and careers of the future. And to answer your question, a nanodegree is basically an educational credential, a lot like a typical degree, but very specific in scope. You think about a traditional degree, similar in some ways. You have recommended topics, you're taught by knowledgeable instructors, and you're surrounded by other learners. But there are some differences that are important. So this is a skills-based credential. Instead of going out and becoming an expert on a topic, you're actually pursuing mastery in an employable technical job skill. The instructors aren't professors. They're actually people coming from the tech world. We feel that, with a lot of this technology, the best people to be teaching it are actually the ones who have their hands on it every day in the real world. So in UX design, one of the nano degrees we're offering in this program, you're learning from people that actually work at YouTube and Google. In business analytics, one of the instructors comes from Motorola and actually holds a patent. So this is what we mean when we say, these are people coming from the tech world. The last piece is the curriculum is project-based. So you're applying these skills, you're building up a portfolio of work, and you're effectively demonstrating practitioner-level abilities. There's a lot more to it than that, but at least that gives you a taste.
Yes, and that's so important right now, especially as we get into the new year, but even, with a lot of people who have unfortunately have lost their jobs due to the pandemic, we want to be able to help them to get back into the workforce. And so this is important. And I also want to ask this question to you is, Udacity has introduced this great opportunity with Digital Transformation Columbus. And can you share what the program is about and how it all of a sudden Udacity decided to bring it to Columbus?
Yeah, so the program is really about talented, motivated people in the Columbus area, giving them a path to make real progress in their careers. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got a couple of tracks you can go down. So there's business analytics, there's digital marketing, and there's user experience design. Now, I use the word path deliberately because the X factor is always the learner. We see ourselves in a facilitator role. They're the ones that actually have to take the initiative, right? They have to put their best foot forward to apply, hopefully get accepted. And then once they're in the program, they're the ones that have to flex their abilities to meet new challenges. So just like a traditional degree, you get what you put in. The reality is you still need a path because, a lot of these traditional pathways just aren't practical in today's world. You may not have a few years to pursue an advanced degree, right? You may not want to take on a 5 or 6 figure student loan. And what we're finding is that a lot of these quote unquote jobs of the future, the employers aren't even really asking for that. They just have jobs to fill and they want the skills. And you got the learner or the student, they want the jobs. They can go out and get those skills. And so this program really sits right in the middle. Now you asked why Columbus, right? So let's start with the obvious. In Columbus, you got a city with a bright future. Population growth in the last decade has brought a lot of diversity. And at the same time, you've also started to gain recognition as an innovation hub. So there's a lot to be excited about. And there's a lot of dynamic employers, well-known corporations, but also exciting startups, young people who want to grow their career. So that's kind of the baseline. There's a lot to work with. I think equally important is that aside from Columbus and the rest of Franklin County, we knew that we also had forward-thinking partners here. So partnering with the Workforce Development Board of Central Ohio, as well as Ohio Means Jobs in Columbus, Franklin County, it's been everything we were promised and more. Honestly, we run programs like this all over the world. You can't get it done without a good partner on the ground who knows how to innovate and stay ahead of the game. I should also add, I spent 4 years of college just up the road in a town called Ann Arbor. I always found people in Columbus welcoming to me for my entire life, and so I just had to return the favor.
Yes. Love it, love it, love it. And so, now, Scott, I do want to ask you, as the operator of the Job Center, what was your thoughts on when this opportunity was presented to us to be able to present this program in our city?
Yeah, I think anytime we can be innovative and provide these very short-term, high-impact opportunities to our job seekers, it's really important. I think back to when the stay-at-home order hit back in March and how it really kind of took the wind out of all of us. And Paul, to your point, we, even in the Job Center and with the Workforce Development Board, we had to really reevaluate how we did work. And, we've seen that with all of our employer partners. We've seen that all throughout our community. And we've self-taught ourselves to be experts. And I'm going to use that really loosely compared to what Udacity has to offer to us, in how to do a lot of things virtually and how to really figure out how you can look at user experience and, how you can do this type of things. And so I think offering this type of structured real world curriculum that can have some true outcomes is incredibly important. And to be able to really bring it forth in a way where individuals can learn at their pace and they can learn in their time is probably the most important thing, to give that flexibility right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes, I agree with that. So for all the viewers that are watching this right now and are kind of interested in learning a little bit more on, what is the process like and, how can they apply for it? Let's talk a little bit about, what is the journey going through this program? What does that kind of look like? So Paul, if you can kind of, talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So really the first thing you do is you would sign up through Udacity's online application. We would ask some very basic questions to determine eligibility and aptitude. And then Ohio Means Jobs is our partner on the ground in Columbus and Franklin County. If you pass, you'd be contacted by one of their representatives and they can answer any questions that you might have. The program kicks off on January 19th. So it's going to last about 3 months. That's a sort of a typical amount of time for these nano degrees, using a rough benchmark of about 10 hours per week. So this is intended to be helpful to people that have other commitments, can only do it on nights or weekends, that sort of thing. And it goes pretty much like a typical semester. So you're going to follow a syllabus, you attend lectures, you submit projects, you're going to work in groups, and you're going to have a lot of support as you work towards your nano degree. And that also means, later on, once you're settled, there are career services We have little modules where you get some help optimizing your LinkedIn profile, or a resume writing workshop, or a Q&A with certain select employer partners. That's what the sort of the bulk of the program looks like on a day-to-day basis. By April, you've got your nano degree, and you're ready to move your career forward.
So Scott, if you can talk a little bit from the Job Center standpoint, how is the staff at the Job Center assisting those who are interested in this program?
Yeah, so I think that's where this cohort that we're looking at implementing is so exciting, because it takes this idea of online learning, and we have a lot of job seekers that have never tried their hand at online learning and what that experience is really like, and it gives us actual individuals here in our community that can also support. So if there are questions about how to access or apply, if there are questions about, as you wrap up, how you approach job search, and the connectivity to local employers is obviously a big piece. Paul mentioned a lot of really wonderful nationally based employers, but there are also local employers right here that need individuals with these skills. And so we can take this concept of this big national presence and this really structured program, and then bring in the human element of having someone here locally that you can also work with. And so, you have the best of both worlds. You have Udacity and all the strength that it brings, but then you also have somebody who is working out of 1111 East Broad Street here in Columbus that can also help you navigate and answer any questions that you need and get that true outcome.
Yes, absolutely. So I know one of the things sometimes that comes into, conversation is about financially being able to afford this, right? So Paul, if you can talk a little bit, just briefly talk about how Udacity is helping those who may have had challenges this year, but may have looking for a different career opportunity, or maybe have unfortunately been unemployed due to the pandemic. How is Udacity assisting them into getting into this program?
So the one thing I should say at the outset, Carisha, this program, Digital Career Transformation Columbus, is scoped to be a program with no cost to the learner. What we want to do is, we want the learners to be focused on learning and achieving and ultimately getting out and landing on their feet. As far as the component of how they are going to be supported, this is where, another aspect of where our partnership with the Workforce Development Board and with Ohio Means Jobs in Columbus, Franklin County is so important, because working in a private-public partnership such as this context allows us to access funding streams that are available through state and local governments. This really is kind of the crux of it. In the details, this is where a lot of the discussions post-application play out, right? So what does eligibility look like? And basically it means, do you get access to this funding or that funding? But if you're in the program, you're supported.
Absolutely. And so again, we just encourage you, if you have any questions, make sure that you put them in the chat. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. And again, for more information about this program, please visit udacitycolumbus.com. So I wanted to go ahead and transition to after someone gets out of the program and now it's time to find employment or, their next job opportunity. What are some industries that you see, Paul or Scott, that a person would be able to potentially take their learning and credentials from this program into?
Scott, I'll defer to you.
Thanks, Paul. Honestly, I think one of the things that we talk about all the time with our job seekers is the fact that IT is an industry, but it's also in every industry. When you really start to look at the infrastructure of any business, there's a network and there are end users and there's always software that's involved. There's always a user experience in that software. So whether you go to the hospital or you're at a grocery store or a convenience store, it really ends up applying to anything and everything. So I think this experience in particular will allow individuals the opportunity to think about what area they would like to, as I like to say, play in. Are you more focused in a manufacturing type environment? Because business analytics will apply every day to a manufacturing environment. If you look at healthcare or retail or any of those, digital marketing. Hello, that's how we all communicate now. I mean, it's kind of the given. And it's the same thing, like I said, with user experience. When you think about how apps have developed and how you order things online for local pickup, and what does the experience is it like when you do a local pickup? It really, the sky is the limit. And we have employers that are asking us every day for individuals with these type of skills. So it's real exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I would add, this is one of those big insights that's easy to overlook, right? Because you see a lot of people that are out of work, and that's a serious matter. But at the same time, there are so many open roles posted everywhere you look, and that's like the best way to explain the skills gap. How can this be, right? So in Columbus, for example, you've got over 80,000 people that are unemployed. Earlier, I took a quick pass at overall job numbers in the area, and there's almost double that in open jobs. And then the question really is, so what about the careers that we're talking about here? So if you whittle down to just the jobs that are asking for skills in business analytics, UX design, or digital marketing, it's about 7,000, a little more than 7,000. And what can we say? Yes, it's the industries that Scott mentioned. Among the ones you mentioned, Scott, I also saw higher ed, energy, consulting. There's a lot. And the median salary is about 75% higher. It's a lot of entry-level positions, but not limited just to that. So there's a lot for mid-career types. And, I mean, that is remarkable. It might seem odd that in this current economic environment, you got a pandemic looming over our heads, right? Like it almost feels odd to be speaking with optimism about the job market, but the data doesn't lie.
Yes, absolutely. We do have a question for you, and it's for Paul. So Udacity is made of a global community of lifelong learners. Would the program content be ever available for everyone around the world in the future? And are you planning more initiatives like this in other regions?
So the answer to both questions is yes. So, I'll tackle the first one. Right now, any individual who is interested in learning new skills and taking control of their career, the easiest option is to go to udacity.com, browse our Nanodegree catalog of over 50 courses, and basically can sign up and begin their learning journey. What we also work separately, we work directly with corporations. And so if you're employed and, within a corporation and want to be part of a bigger upskilling initiative, you can work that way. The area where our team is working really hard to affect change is in what I described earlier as these public-private partnerships. So providing scholarships and opportunities for people to tap into government funding. I mean, this stuff is not cheap, and it's a lot cheaper than a 4-year degree from a traditional institution, but it's still not cheap. And so good education shouldn't be cheap. But what we want to do is facilitate access, make it easier so that it's not something that's only available to people that have those means. And that's what I meant at the very beginning when I said taking education out of the ivory tower. Are you planning more initiatives like these in other regions? Absolutely. So, I've got counterparts working in Latin America, in Europe, in the Middle East, in Asia. We have found a model that really works. And we find that some things are consistent, some things are, very different around the world. And yeah, the idea, Udacity's mission is to train 1 million people in the skills that will get them, the careers of the future. It has to be global in scope if we're going to achieve that size goal.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're happy that it's right here in Columbus, Ohio, and that this opportunity is being offered to all of our job seekers that will be able to take advantage of this and be able to advance in their career opportunities. So we're really excited and thankful for Udacity to even think about, partnering with the Workforce Development Board of Central Ohio and Ohio Means Jobs Columbus Franklin County. So again, if you are watching this, thank you so much for tuning in to our live Q&A on what is a nano degree. Nanodegree. Again, for more information, please visit udacitycolumbus.com for more information and to apply for this awesome program. So as we're wrapping up things, I just wanted to again hit on some important things. So Paul and Scott, if you can again just hit on some high level things. Again, the deadline for how to apply for when the application closes, and again, how can they get in touch with us?
Paul, I'll let you lead and I'll fill in the gaps.
Absolutely. So the applications will be closing on January 5th. So by all means, act fast, and spots are filling up. But we urge you to look into these programs and really think about which one is going to affect change for you. You can certainly get all the information you need from udacitycolumbus.com. So hopefully that at least gives us. Does that answer all your questions, Carisha?
Yes, it does. It does. And Scott, if someone has any questions and may want to speak with somebody, how can they get a hold of the Job Center?
Yeah. So there are several different ways. Probably the most effective way between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday, is to simply give us a call. Our phone number is 614-559-5052. We'll definitely answer the phone and be able to answer as many questions as you can. And if you happen to figure out a way to stump us, it doesn't happen very often, we'll find out the answers and get back to you for sure. If you aren't available to call during that time, you can always email us, info@omjcfc.org. It's another great way to connect, and we will respond within a business day to any of those emails as well.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for doing this live Q&A. And thank you to everyone who is also watching us today. So before we sign off, any last minute thoughts or anything to encourage that person who may still be thinking about applying and just has not went to udacitycolumbus.com?
Yeah, I would say, if you have been inspired to upskill yourself, do your homework, right? Because no program that is going to really affect change in your life is going to be a walk in the park. It's going to be a commitment of some amount of time and energy and money in some cases. And so do your homework. And I would say, look not only at the quality of the content, but also think about the outcomes, right? And programs that have high completion rates are going to be programs where you're supported. But you also want to look at career outcomes, right? Because you don't want to do it just to say, all right, I got my degree, everything's, I've achieved everything I wanted. You want that job offer. And so think about, not only how you're going to be supported, but how have, these education providers, whoever it may be, actually demonstrated success. One of the things that we do, we measure quantitative and qualitative benchmarks throughout for exactly this reason, because we want to provide that peace of mind. In our programs, what we find is that a lot of individuals, in some cases 70% plus, are indicating positive career change, an offer, a promotion, something that got them on track. And so definitely do your homework. This is a big deal. You want to make the right call.
Yep. And the only thing that I'll add to that is don't be scared. It is a lot, and it is very, very daunting, but it's worth taking that step because there's a whole team to support you. Between the Udacity team and the team at the Job Center, you won't be alone in this, because I think when I think of online learning and a lot of these career changes, that is one of the things that sticks in everybody's mind. I'm really nervous to take that leap. If I head down the wrong path, do I figure out how to navigate? And that is the entire intent of this program. That's why this public-private partnership is so big. The team at Udacity can support you in all of the educational aspects of this program that you need, and they have some great connectivity on the career side. And then we can bring that local element in as well, so we can just ensure that you really start to make that change. If you ask anybody at the Job Center what our mission is, it's to change lives. It isn't complicated. We just want to empower individuals to feel like they can make the change that they need to make and have the outcome that they want. And that's why we're here today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, both of you guys. Again, we wanted to come on to talk about what is a nano degree and how to apply for this position or qualify for this program. So we thank you so much. And again, everyone, if you're watching this, again, udacitycolumbus.com. The deadline to apply for this program is January 5th. Again, I would like to thank Paul Barani, who is the head of business development for Udacity, and Scott Johnson, who is the operator of the Ohio Means Jobs Columbus Franklin County Job Center. Thank you both so much for answering all these questions and having this thoughtful discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone.